Oh my God. Okay. Is it working? Am I here? You guys, I'm 35 and I don't know how technology works, so I really hope that anyone can hear me, and if not, well, who cares? Life is a dream anyway. Nothing is real. So hopefully, hopefully you guys can hear me, and I'm Kitty, and I am half of the bitches and bitches get riches, which is a phrase I have waited my whole life to say with authority. I'm half of the bitches. Like, quantitatively, I have determined this is the number of bitches in the world, and I am half of them. So I'm coming to you live from my, we call it a sitting room. It's supposed to be my office, but mostly there's a futon and nothing else. And this plant, which is a very fine snake plant, which has endured despite being in a very dark room for its entire life. So guys, this plant can thrive in adversity, and so can you. All right, so we did an AMA earlier this month that was just Piggy while I was away on a well-deserved vacation where I was not doing any sort of work after I was done working with work is no more. And she wanted to do that solo so that I didn't have to do any work, which is very generous. But we figured that y'all might have some questions about what it was like to be retired early. So hopefully you'll hit me with them. And I will be texting throughout with our amazing admin, Ducky. She is the best. She is the third bitch in Bitches Get Riches, and I just want to like give her a shout out. We love her so much. Anytime we throw something random at her, like, hey, can we figure out how to do an AMA, and can you figure out what equipment we need to do that, and also can you like set us up a YouTube channel and put it on Instagram and like do all the things? And she's just like, yes, I do all the things. So she's freaking amazing, and we really could not do the number of things, the level of things that we do without her. And for those of you who are Patreon donors, thank you. You are paying her salary, which we very much appreciate, and I suspect she very much appreciates. So, big question to start off with is, what have I been drinking? All right, so I have pre-gamed because despite my petite frame, I can pack them away. And it actually takes a massive amount of alcohol in order to take an effect on me, especially if I've had food. Great. A long legacy of alcoholics, ladies and gentlemen. It's such a joy and a treasure. So I pre-gamed with some harpoons. They have a new UFO called Guava Lamp. It's a great, if you guys like sours, it's really good. And I love Harpoon because they are employee owned, which is freaking rare and amazing to find in a company. And anytime I find an employee owned company, I always want to give them as much of my hard-won dollars as I can. So if you guys are, especially in the New England area, it's really easy to find Harpoons. So Harpoon is where it's at. Their beers, very good. Their brewery tour, a great thing to do if you live in the New England area and you got some frickin' family and you're like, what am I supposed to do with these jerks? Take them to the Harpoon brewery tour. It's really fun. Their beer pretzels are very good. But I have graduated up because, thank you, he appreciates it. I just now decided his pronoun, and it's masculine. Thank you. He appreciates it. So what I have now for you is a lovely local brew called Okay Karen. Gotta do a big wink. Okay, so I love everything about this. It is an excellent IPA. It's locally made. Love the name and the artwork. I love a meme beer. Like, I'm so okay with that. And this is the most important part for someone like me who has a ridiculous tolerance. Let's just, yep, that is 13% by volume. Thank you. So thank you to the Bay State Brewing Company. I appreciate you keeping me in a state of calm and relaxed happiness, if not full-on drunk. Guys, this is a secret, but like, Piggy's gonna be so mad at me. She's kind of a lightweight. I mean, at least, so let me back up. Maybe that was rude. Maybe that was out of turn for me to say, but here's the thing. So I can pack him away. Piggy's partner is like a 7-foot tall grizzly bear who weighs 4 of me taped together. So obviously he can also pack him away. So between the two of us, it's very amusing to us, I think, when all of us are hanging out together and we have had like 3 or 4 beers and I'm like, I'm just starting to feel a buzz. And she's like, let me tell you one more thing about how much I love you. Because I do, and it's great. So there's no downsides to drunk Piggy. She's very happy, very bossy too. We'll see. I'm not opening my texts from her. Maybe I will. We'll see. Okay, so I'm also a very happy drunk. I can't guarantee that you guys are gonna really see me get there because the effort it takes is absolutely incredible. I basically have to like not eat and then drink like Sailor to get there. Anyway, we're gonna do what we can. Guys, what are we here to talk about? Personal finance, about how the world's falling apart, about how I am privileged and get to enjoy a life where I don't work 9 to 5 anymore. I don't know. All of the above. We're gonna have a great time. Right, Snake Plant? Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I have a couple of questions to get us started that we've gotten from our Tumblr inbox, but if y'all have any questions, please hit me with them. I am happy to answer anything that you want to ask live, especially if it's related to 1990s anime. Guys, if I don't get a Dragon Ball Z related question on this live stream, it has been a total failure. I've got so many rants inside of me about, like, ask me about the Boo Saga. I'm gonna go off on you. Okay, so I'm gonna get us started with something slightly relevant to my area of expertise, quote unquote. Okay, so anonymous, a Tumblr follower, thank you, little tiny Tumblr anon. Most helpful and wonderful bitches. I have gotten and accepted an offer to turn my lease into homeownership. I'm really excited and happy, but I also know nothing about how to find reputable repair people, contractors, homeowners insurance, etc. The only thing I know is cash in hand is king with most of these things. Any advice on navigating this so I don't get scammed? Oh, I have such a story to tell you. Okay, so when my partner and I bought our first home, the thing that we had money saved, extra cash saved right away to get started on was a fence. We have dogs. We love to foster animals. We want to get chickens in the future. So like we were like, that's our number one thing is we want to fence in this big ass property that we just got. Big ass by the standards of our suburban area. God, Peggy's texting me angrily. Be gone, thought. This is my AMA, you had yours. Okay, so the first person who we met with was the best reviewed guy that there was. We had read every review on everyone who had done fence work in this area. We met with 3 of them, and this guy, we were like, we have a great feeling about him. He has incredibly glowing responses and reviews, so we're gonna go to town on this guy. And we gave him $14,000 to complete our fence. It's so much money, but it's a large property and we live in New England. It's expensive, whatever, don't at me. So we got this fence put in and the process was terrible. After this guy said that he was gonna come out and put it in, that's what she said, he just didn't show up. And he was like, oh, sorry, this thing came up. I'm gonna be in next Tuesday. And we were like, okay, fine, next Tuesday, great. And then next Tuesday would come and he would not show up, and he'd be like, oh, so sorry, like, you know, I'm having difficulty sourcing, you know, this kind of thing, so I'm gonna be in next Friday. Great, we'll be in next Friday. We start getting more and more nervous as weeks turn into months, and he's got this massive chunk of money from us, and he's not showing up. And we were so confused because he had the best reviews. We'd seen photos and driven by properties that he had done, and they looked wonderful. So we were like, we did all of our homework. So finally, after months, I finally called him and was like close to tears. And I basically asked him, have you scammed me? I need to know if you've scammed me so that I can start saving up money to hire someone else because I just need a fence. And he was like, I'm so sorry, I'm coming out tomorrow and I'm just gonna put in a temporary fence for you while I'm waiting for all these materials to come. And he actually did do that. Finally, after many, many months, he did come out and put in the fence, and we could not believe that it was really happening. We were watching out of our bedroom window as these big burly dudes were walking around our yard digging big holes for fence posts, and we were like, I can't believe it's really happening. We got our fence in. A lot of our neighbors who hired the same vendor to do the same thing did not get theirs. I would say it's too strong of a word to say it was traumatic, but it was an enormous source of stress for us that we had paid this person who looked so good on paper. Like we decided to spend more money than we had to. Other vendors gave us cheaper quotes, and we were like, no, we want this guy because he talks about how well he treats his employees and he has this long track record and all these great reviews. And he just was not what he claimed to be. And I found out later on what was happening was I think he was involved in maybe a divorce, and maybe there were some legal things happening around that. And as a result of that, he took a lot of people's money and disappeared overnight. And as far as I can tell, we are probably the last people who got an actual fence from this guy. So I say all of that to this anonymous Tumblr asker. The best thing to do when you are hiring contractors, when you are looking for professionals, is to do your research. You want to go out and read Yelp reviews, read Google reviews, and I think take all of them with a grain of salt. I don't trust anyone who has only 5-star reviews. I don't trust anyone who has only 1-star reviews. Like, there's a lot to be learned from the 3 and 4-star reviews where people are giving you their honest take, but also like their honest take. So, no matter how much research you do, you can't know what is going on in an individual's life, in their mind, in their, you know, this guy, it also sounded like he probably overcommitted his staff, which was overall pretty small. It sounded like he took on too many projects at once and then got behind, and then it snowballed, which I totally understand. But he left a bunch of little old ladies with no fence and no money and just vanished from my whole state, and absconded to Florida, which Florida, you may have that man. He was always a Florida man, okay? He was just in disguise as a New England man. It was a lie. It was all lies. So do your research. Always take into account when you're hiring other professionals. Ask them, like, we have a plumber who we freaking love. He's so nice. He's even nice to our dogs. Our dogs love him. He's very honest with us. He can work with our budget. We tell him what our budget is and what our time frame is, and he's like, okay, so if we do this in pieces where I do this part now and then later on I can come in and do this, does that work? And we're like, yes. So once you find a really good professional, ask them for their recommendations. But also, when you are buying a home, ask your realtor. Keep in mind, and I say this as a daughter of a realtor, a granddaughter of 2 realtors, and a daughter of a home appraiser. So this is kind of a family gig. So I say this with like all love for realtors. Don't always trust realtors. They will recommend people who they think are going to help close on a home sale, who will maybe quote the cheapest price, or give the shortest timeline in order to make a home buyer think like, oh, this termite damage actually isn't a really big deal. It's only going to cost $3,000 to fix and it'll be done in a month and great. How true that is maybe kind of up in the air. So always consider, do your research, ask for recommendations, talk to your neighbors. Guys, neighbors are like the least tapped people in our social networks. Neighbors, like, they know everything. Bake a loaf of bread and go and talk to these fucking people because they know who the good people are. They know who the bad people are. They can help you out when you get a snowstorm or whatever. Like, oh, they're the best. Guys, neighbors are where it's at. And that's true whether you live in the suburbs, whether you live in a super urban city area. I have always tried to cultivate great relationships with my neighbors, and it has always paid off, like 15, 25, 37-fold. You heard it here, 37-fold. So with that said, sometimes you just get a dud, and it's really upsetting. It's really sad. It's scary, and you might lose out on money or have work that's not done properly. But at the end of the day, if you own your home, you own your home, and you can recover from any bad work that was done. The main thing I would encourage you to do is to do your research, but no matter how much research you do, you might still end up with someone who's not fantastic. You can recover, and you can leave them a scathing Google review, which my husband did. And if you ask Piggy, she will tell you it's the greatest piece of literature that she's ever read. And she's really bummed that Google finally took him off of Google, because she was like, whenever I was in a bad mood, I just looked at that review and it made me feel better. Okay, so I am going to take a new question and take a huge ass sip of my OK Karen. Wink. Recommend an anime to someone who hates anime. Okay, great. This is a fantastic question because I'm really just dragging her through the dirt tonight. Okay, Piggy does not like anime. You guys, this is a source of trauma for me, but Piggy does not like anime, and she never has. And I think she's grown 1.5 inches, which for anyone in a country that measures units of distance in a way that makes sense, it's this much. She's grown this much. She's kind of tiptoed up to Inuyasha. Don't fucking joke with me about that. Get out of here, you joker. So, okay, serious question. The anime that I gave to Piggy to try to convince her that not all anime is bad, because there's a lot of bad anime out there, and I love it. But there's a lot of bad anime out there. Still, the one that I tend to default to, Cowboy Bebop. Everybody loves Cowboy Bebop. It's like my partner's like 80-year-old dad loves Cowboy Bebop. Like, it's got everything. You like gunfights? It's got gunfights. You like jazz music? It's got jazz music. You like romance? There's romance. You like train heists? There's some fucking train heists. Who cares? It's Cowboy Bebop. And it's very episodic, so you can show someone a random episode or two and just be like, so what do you think? And they'll be like, it's fine, I guess. And you will be like, I'm perennially disappointed in you and your narrow-mindedness toward anime. In terms of what anime to not recommend, people tell me sometimes, they're like, okay, this anime is really good, but it gets really good around episode 40. And I'm like, I am too old. I am too near death to spend hours and hours of my life watching an anime that only gets good in like season 2 or no, no, ma'am, I can't do that. So please, guys, please do not recommend anime to people that gets really good after 40 hours. Same for video games. Don't recommend a game to me that gets really good after 40 hours. You know what gets really good after 40 hours? Just sleeping. 40 hours straight, man. Can't recommend it enough. Early retirement. It do be like that. Okay. So, Um, in the chat, we have Lauren. Another Lauren. Thank you, guys. My IRL name is Lauren. I was born in 1987. Thanks for noticing. Lauren asks, has the idea of retiring during a market downturn stressed you out at all? Okay, so the market was not even downturned when I made this decision. So I put in I gave it 1 month notice, maybe like 5 weeks. And when I let my boss know, it was like late February, I think. And the market was doing a-okay. And it is only like as soon as my job was done. I was done on April 1st, technically. My boss was so freaking nice. He was like, oh, so why don't you tell everyone that your last day is April 1st and then use all this sick leave that you wouldn't get paid out of per state law in the same way that you would vacation time. Why don't you just say you're taking those as mental health days and then make your official last day April 15th or whatever it would be when I'd used all my sick days? And I was like, you are a nice man. And you are why I kept working as long as I did, because if I had a bad boss, I would have been fucking out of here during COVID. I was so stressed. I was like, I cannot deal with a bad boss on top of all of this. But the market downturn only really sharpened after I had already left. Does that stress me out? Truthfully, no. Mostly it confused me because I kept checking my Mint and it was like, your net worth is down $50,000. And I was like, that must be a glitch. You're having a hard time logging into my into my correct retirement accounts. I'm sure this is not a real thing. And then I looked and I was like, oh shit, that do be like that. You guys, I'm very lucky. I have a partner who's still working. He's in the room with me playing a Switch because I was like, I'm gonna be more energetic if there's someone in the room, even if he's not paying attention to me. I have a partner who's still working. That's really kind of changed things for us. Having one reliable income just takes a lot of stress off of our retirement accounts to provide absolutely everything that we need. So no, I'm not freaking out. I really like Dumpster Doggy. Has a great way of thinking about when there's a market down. It's like there's a sale. Guys, it's on sale. And when you buy something and then a month later you see that it's on sale, you don't go, oh God, why did I buy all that ground turkey then? I could have bought it now. It's like, well, no, it's a good product. I wanted it then, I used it then, and I still want it now. So I will buy more. So in fact, we've been taking advantage of the down market to invest more heavily. It's wiped out a ton of our gains, yes, technically on paper, but I am very much choosing not to be stressed about it. And I think that any of our listeners, readers should also not be stressed because you're probably young and young people do not need to stress about market downturns at all. You have your whole life to make those gains back up. And hopefully we'll get some of that baby boomer luck rubbing up on us soon because guys, old millennials, they be cursed. They be cursed like an old fucking amulet. And I'm over it. So please give me some of that, that boomer luck. I'm going to name my next beer. I'm making beers now in my head. I'm going to name my next beer Boomer Luck. And it's going to taste delicious. All right. We have someone else in the chat asking. Haley. Hello, Haley. I used to be a realtor and keep thinking of starting a blog to educate people as well as shed a light on some of the shady things that realtors in my experience tend to do. Any thoughts, advice? Okay. Yes, please. There are so many people whose whole personal finance niche is to tell people to invest in real estate, and then they throw a smoke bomb and vanish. And I don't respect that very much. So please, I think there is always a compelling market for more voices who can say definitively, I've been inside this industry and here's what I think people aren't saying about it. That provides real value to real people. And so yes, like Haley, if this is something you're thinking about doing, please do it. What I would recommend doing is don't, Terry, by the way, they say hi.
Hi.
He says, hi. So Haley, don't put a lot of pressure on yourself to become a voice, to build a brand, to do the whole thing. Guys, personal finance is a really saturated market when it comes to writing and podcasting and blogging. Like, you kind of have to have a niche or a devil may care attitude. Guess which one Bitches Get Riches has? It's the devil may care attitude. Spoiler. So, like, don't read too many things that are telling you, like, here's how I started making 6 figures writing a blog where I sold people $70,000 courses about how to do things that they could Google if they wanted to. So I think, Haley, if you want to make your voice specifically about combating miseducation, that's a wonderful calling, and I think you should go for it. And if you do it, DM us on Twitter and we will help spread the word. We love talking about kind of like, here's dishy industry shit that you ain't gonna hear somewhere else. When people ask me writing advice, the number one thing that I say is, like, either you need to say something that people have never heard before, which there's almost no opportunity for outside of fiction. Like, they've heard fucking everything. You can Google everything. Or the other option is say it in a way they've never heard it before, and you have insider industry experience that people may not hear, and may not hear in a really honest way, because there may be a lot of people working in the real estate industry who want to present a very rosy view of what it is that they do, and in fact, like, it's not, like, no. So go for it. Go into one of those two things and you'll be successful, and I love you and thank you for watching. All right, another question, this time from our Tumblr. We've got some Tumblr folks who are watching live. We want to know all about early retirement. This is from NoFaho. What does that stand for? It sounds like NoFap November. No. Guys, FAP in November. FAP every month. Do you know how good it is for your body to orgasm? Don't ever not FAP. Okay, hold on to that. I know that's not really what this person's name is. I'm connecting dots that should not be connected. North Face Ho, thank you, says, we want to know all about early retirement. How good is it really? Do you expect to or have to work ever again at all? Are you going to be pulling out 4% withdrawals to live on? Classic fire. Or are you living on just your partner's salary and keeping all the money instead? Want to know where you are someday. Okay, so great questions. For those of you who follow us on Instagram, you would have seen I tried to post a reel, and I texted our admin Ducky. I was like, I'm so proud. I posted a reel. And she was like, you did not post a reel. You posted a regular ass video, but good for you. So I'm getting brownie points. I am getting partial credit. Guys, the theme of this is going to be partial credit. I got partial credit for uploading a video. But if you go to our Instagram, which is Bitches Get Riches Official, you will see, in fact, what I really did with my Thursday morning. Usually I would have been in meetings, but today, instead, I was riding the horse that I leased through a meadow, and it was like 69 degrees, #nice. It was, the birds were singing. I was riding him through this bird sanctuary, so like birds are calling and they're fluttering all around. There's like really nice ladies doing yoga, and they're like, your horse is magnificent. And I'm like, thank you. I agree. It was amazing. So in terms of how early retirement has been, I'm going to try to answer this really honestly. Early retirement has been amazing in a moment-to-moment kind of way, but also very intimidating because people ask you things like, so how is early retirement going? There's a lot of pressure on you to constantly be having a good time, to have something to show for it. I was like, ooh. So the first month after I retired, I technically ended on April 1st. And basically what I did was I was like, I need a month off from everything. I negotiated with Piggy and Ducky that I was like, I'm not going to write articles. I'm not going to work on our social media for Bitches Get Riches. I just need to not do anything. And I did the same actually with my partner. Still love you, Beepy. Oh, thank you. So I negotiated with him where I was like, if I'm in the mood to make dinner, I want to make dinner. But if I'm not in the mood to make dinner, can we just order a pizza or can you make dinner instead? And he was like, yes, of course. I love you. I'm very supportive and feminist. And it's great. So that first month, I really needed that time to, I am an extrovert, but I needed time to introvert fiercely. I needed time to reconnect with a part of myself that has atrophied, I think, and is probably atrophied in all of you listening as well, which is the part of yourself that does not exist for anyone else. So let me give you an example. Can't forget to drink. Sorry, I'm working on it. About halfway through here. So, for example, I tried to think back into my own past, and our Patreon donors know this because I talked about this in a monthly post that I put up there. I tried to think hard about when is the last time in my life that I did not feel the pressure, the constant pressure that I think every adult feels, but particularly adult women, to make the most out of every single second. Like, I need to constantly be multitasking, constantly optimizing everything that I do. I need to deprioritize anything that brings me joy so that I can bring other people joy. I need to minimize anything that brings me success because I need to maximize my boss's success or my company's success or my partner's success or my friend's success. It's a thing. It's a whole fucking thing. So I tried to ask myself, really, when was the last time that I felt that? And I found an answer very quickly, which was the summer before my little brother was born. I was 9 years old. And that was before the whole Eton Pats, like, this was before the era where child kidnappings made parents super afraid and super protective of their children. So I was kind of the last of the generation of kids who were allowed to just like leave the house in the morning during the summertime and just vanish for hours on end. And I had a big ass purple mountain bike and I rode it all around my town. I went to the convenience store, I went to the library, I'd go over to my grandparents' house, I'd go to the park. I just went wherever I felt like and did whatever I felt like. By the following year, I had a baby brother who was born and my parents divorced when he was a year old. So when I was at dad's house, I was mom. When I was at mom's house, I was dad. It's very validating to hear him now as a grown-ass 26-year-old man say the same thing. Shout out Dan. I know you're not listening because you're traveling, but still, I love you. You're always my baby bro. And it was a lot of parentified adult pressures that weren't a part of my life before then. So I really wanted to get back in touch with that feeling of no pressure, no productivity, no expectations, just living life from moment to moment. What am I in the mood to do? That's what I'll do today. When you think about it, as an adult with adult responsibilities, it's a very rare feeling to just wake up and do whatever you're in the mood to do. So I want to get back in touch with that. And here's how I did it. I tried to get back in touch with like my 9-year-old self. and we found a site. Wait, what's it called?
Tsunami Aftermath.
Tsunami Aftermath. Y'all, Google Tsunami Aftermath. It's bitches who have recorded like VHS tapes of entire afternoons of tsunami, and I just put them on in the background because I have the best memories of rushing home to be like, here, wait, I need to put this drink down so that I can really sell the rushing. Rushing home being like, I know I have already missed the first 15 minutes of Sailor Moon, but if I run fast, I can make the last 15 minutes and see the new Dragon Ball Z where there's blood on the characters. And it was so exciting. And I do, in fact, have my excellent Silver Millennium t-shirt on. Guys, the Sailor Moon fit is real. Okay. So we literally like have been streaming Toonami the whole month of like April. We were streaming it. And I watched like just tons of stuff that I got into in the 90s and listened to music from the 90s that would like trigger my sense of nostalgia. I literally went to the store and like bought SpaghettiOs because I was like, I gotta know, are the SpaghettiOs still where it's at? They are, but I really think like the ones with meatballs, that's extra. Those are really good. Plain SpaghettiOs, I don't know. It's a little ketchup-y in terms of the sauce. But the meatballs help disrupt it in the best way. Guys, disrupt SpaghettiOs. Put meatballs in there. So getting back in touch with that kind of nostalgic feeling, and anyone who's thinking about early retirement or has recently retired early, I would definitely think about like, what is it when was the last time in your life that you did not feel constrained in the same way that you do as an adult? And what can you do to like go back and bring in joy from that era of your life? One of the things that I thought of was like the joy of going to a Scholastic book fair and my parents saying, here's a $10 bill, you may get whatever you like. And me like instantly knowing all the math of like, okay, I can get this many Goosebumps and this many Animorphs. So I gave myself a budget and just got a bunch of used books that I'd been waiting to show up in the library and kept requesting at the library and didn't show up. But now they're here and they're sitting in a pile waiting for me to just joyfully read through them. So the most important thing about early retirement is that you're entering into a brand new phase of your life, and there's a lot of pressure that kind of comes with that. There's pressure whenever you enter a new phase of your life, especially if that phase is very visibly different from what everyone else is doing. If you're eloping, you're going to get weirder vibes than if you're getting married in a church. If you are having a child on your own, you're going to get weirder vibes than if you're having a child with a partner. So if you are retiring, but you're retiring early, you're going to get weird ass fucking vibes. And I think one of the best ways to just get back in touch with that part of yourself that felt real joy, doing only what you were in the mood to do, that's how I would do it. It's been really, really helpful. I still feel a little bit of that pressure to be like, so what do you have to show for all of this? And I just don't care. I'm working through that. I don't care. That's all. Thank you for this excellent question. Okay. Brown, yes, and hair. I hope that's how that is meant to be pronounced. From the chat says, wait, what do you do with a 401k if you retire early? I don't fucking know. If you find out, tell me. Listen, there's a lot about this that I'm going to figure out later on. Basically, the arrangement that my partner and I came to was that he was in a career that he was very talented at, but it paid very poorly. He was brown eyes and hair. All right, well, fine. Guys, brown-eyed ladies are where it's at. Heard it here first. A big pair of brown eyes that you can ask me for my whole car and I will hop out in the middle of the highway and hand you my keys because your eyes are too brown and I cannot say no. I'm glad no brown-eyed women have asked me to give up my car. It's 70 miles an hour. Thank you. I think there's a lot that I'm going to get the luxury of figuring out later. I am actually, I've been doing a lot of research around like sharing models for personal finance, specifically sharing money with someone who isn't your spouse. Hopefully, you guys have read our most recent article. It's kind of the beginning of this, talking about how difficult it is to be single in America. I have a lot of friends who are single either by choice or circumstance or because they're like asexual or aromantic, and I constantly like really feel for them and fret for them in a way that I don't for my coupled friends, because I'm like, you are doing this on your own, and that is really scary and difficult. And I recognize all the ways in which our society has made it very difficult for you to be you and for you to live your life. It's a bunch of fucking bullshit. But one of the benefits that I have is having a partner who is still working, which means I'm kind of living that like that 1950s ideal. My partner and I get to now live the way that married filing jointly was intended to be lived. And I'm taking full advantage of that. We are not making any deductions from any of our retirement accounts. Basically, what my husband said was, you made our first million, let me make our second million. And I think it's a personal finance cliche, but they say the first million's the hardest. I worked really, really hard to. I supported my partner while he was going through a job transition. That was where that was going earlier. He went through a job transition where he was an actor and now he's a software developer. The difference in pay between those two jobs is obscene, but we did not know for sure that that would work out, and I'm really happy that it did. He's in a job where he's really happy. He actually is working for a personal finance product that we personally use but don't openly rep, because it's kind of weird for us to say like, oh, by the way, here is this personal finance product. It's my husband's job and not just what we use, but it is just what we use, so whatever. He's working in a great job. He's really happy. The stresses that he feels in his day-to-day job are very mitigated by the fact that he can see how happy I am. And so it's a great thing. Like, I'll say the best thing about being with a partner is that, like, you get to trade. You get to trade off. One of you gets to be weak and the other one gets to be strong. And God, that is just like the best thing. No matter how strong you are by default, it is so freeing to have someone say, you've carried me, you've helped me, let me carry you for a little while. That is an amazing benefit. And he's doing some, like, he's still playing on his Switch. What are you playing? Is it Monster Hunter?
That's right.
Monster Hunter what now?
Rise.
Monster Hunter Rise. Rise and
Grind.
rise and grind. But he's doing little leg kicks so that he knows that I am, that what I'm saying is landing. So, yeah. So, I don't know. We're not withdrawing a fucking thing. Are you kidding me? Have you seen the market right now? You want me to make withdrawals? We're smoking excellent drugs if you think I'm going to withdraw anything right now. So no, we are continuing to accrue our nest egg. Basically, our goal is we got to 1 million. We want to get to 2 million so that he can retire as well and do whatever the fuck he wants to do. Monster Hunter What Now does sound like a great game. So yeah, that's kind of what we're going with. We are not worrying at all yet about withdrawals. That will come. It'll come when it comes. And that is also what she said. Okay, more questions. Let's see. I am going to pull one from our Tumblr because I'm just feeling like, let's just go off. Let's just do fucking something. A Tumblr Anon asks, hey aunties, I'm graduating next year. I've been working retail this past year during school, and I'm probably going to stick with that until I'm done. The problem is people seem really disappointed/worried when I tell them I'm not in any rush to find another job once I'm graduated. It's not that I think I'm doing this forever. I just don't know what else I want to do. And in the meantime, I'm good at my job. I like my coworkers, and I'm pretty sure they like me. Is it really that concerning that I'm not super eager to find a career once I'm able to work full time? Maybe I'll feel differently by next year. But for now, I feel like I want to take a moment to think about where I'm going before I try to start getting there. All right, I'm going to take a deep sip for this one.
Do you want another beer?
No, I've got about a third, but I'll let you know if I need another. He's the best. He's my little barista. Love you, baby.
I love you, Cookie.
Okay, so I love this question. One of my closest friends works in retail, and that has caused me to really confront some of the shitty attitudes that I have, not because I came up with them, but because I learned them in the culture that I was raised in, where I was raised to think that if you work in retail or service, or even like some blue collar jobs, that is a temporary job. And because it's a temporary job, it's not deserving of respect, of a living wage, of consideration and legal protections, because this is supposed to be the job that like teenagers have, or that college students have, or that people who didn't get the right amount of X, Y, and Z, like education or whatever, have. And having close friends who work in that job as their career has required me to look at those shitty attitudes and figure out how to be like Control Z on that whole thing. Like, can you please just be nice and encouraging and recognize the ways in which, and I think COVID really made this very clear to everyone, that those jobs are not unvaluable, they're not temporary, they're extraordinary. And I have so much respect and affection for people who work in hourly roles, because I haven't done that for years, and escaping it felt really, really, really good, which is a nice feeling, but it's also a bad feeling because you remember all the ways in which, like, there's so many people who you like, people just like you, who are still working in this kind of role and receiving this kind of treatment. So, Tumblr and on, absolutely, I think you are not only making an okay and a justifiable decision in continuing to work retail while you kind of figure your life out, I think you're making an excellent decision. There was too much pressure on young people in my generation, and I don't know if this has maybe tapered off a little bit, but there's way too much pressure for everyone to choose the exact right school and the exact right major so that they could get into the exact right entry-level job and the exact right mid-level job. And like it was like a graph that had to go like 2 points, like straight up. And if there was any up or down, you were probably some kind of degenerate. I mean, it is real though. So I'm a huge fan of concepts like gap years. Or I've had friends who've taken like FMLA to figure out their kind of, to get their mental health in check. I'm a huge fan of like, I'm going to do this for a year and figure my shit out. Did you just hear the part where I was talking about how the first month of my retirement, I was like, I'm not going to commit to anything. I don't want to do anything. If I don't want to wake up until 11 a.m., I'm not going to wake up until 11 a.m. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to put any pressure on myself to be productive. Fuck productivity. The pressure that this person is feeling, that they describe feeling, I absolutely believe that it is real. And you have to be kind of emotionally steeled for how you're going to deal with it. And I think it's really powerful. I think just to be told by a competent adult, it's me. Hi, it's me, a competent adult. I'm for rent for $30 an hour. If you need a competent adult, just hire me. I think it's very powerful to just be told what you're doing is a great idea. So for people in my grandparents' generation, the average number of jobs that they worked at, employers that they worked for rather, throughout their lifetime was about 1.5. Sorry, I minored in sign language, so deal with that while I'm on video. There's a lot of signing going on, so 1.5. Now, for someone like me, what would that be? It would be closer to 12 jobs. 12 jobs throughout my lifetime, possibly more. For Gen Z, I have no doubts it's going to be higher than that. You no longer live in the same world that your judgmental relatives live in, which is the idea that you need to get a good job early on so that you can like get a pension and never leave. I mean, that sounds great, but it just doesn't happen anymore. That kind of job does not exist anymore, and when it does, it's probably shitty. There's probably other things going on that like you don't want to be involved in. So they are trying to give you good advice based on their own experiences, their own life, and you can like take that as like I am so glad you are trying to give me quality advice based on your life experience. But I also know that my life experience, I'm growing up in a very different world, a very different culture, a very different work-life balance than you grew up in. So that's kind of how I take that when those older relatives are like, oh, but you gotta get a real job. Like, okay, well, fuck all the way off. All jobs are real jobs. If they need to be done, they are real jobs. If you would roll up to a Sonic and be pissed that there's nobody on the other end to receive your order for a Butterburger or whatever it is, that's Culver's, sorry. Culver's. You roll up to a Culver's and you're like, I need a fucking Butterburger and there's no one there to take it. Well, guess what? People are going to be mad that you weren't there for them in their hour of need. So you are there for people. I have had such wonderful and life-affirming experiences with people who work retail, people who have affirmed what I have observed about my body, people who have helped me find clothing and silhouettes that work for me, people who find products that align with my values. That is so valuable and it's so real. And I don't want you to ever second guess that that is not real work or that it's not deserving of respect. And the kindest thing I can think to say is like when your relatives give you this judgmental vibe, just know that based on what they know about the world, they're giving you the best advice that they can, and they're trying to look out for you. So, okay. I guess that's where we're at. A couple of questions about FMLA. So that is family. Guys, this is a 13% beer. Is Family Something Leave Act. Family Medical Leave Act. I'm so good at this. Taylor agrees. Thank you, Taylor, for backing me up on this. Family Medical Leave Act. So FMLA is very quickly, so if you need to take time off from your job, if you are established in that job, there's some qualifications around like how long you've been with the company and some other things. But basically, if you've been in a job for a little while and they have more than 50 employees, I'm going off the top of my head with what I remember about the constraints of the FMLA. So I might be wrong. Look this up before you try to act on it. Don't listen to me. I don't know anything. But I believe if it's 50 employees and you've been with the company for a little while, basically you can say, yo, my mom needs surgery, or I had a bunch of trauma, or I have a child who was born premature with a bunch of pre-existing health conditions. In any of those cases, if it's a spouse, yourself, your parent, or your child, you can take time off from your job without being punished for it. You won't be paid. You will not be paid. However, basically, it's kind of hitting pause on your job and saying, I will come back to this later, but I super need you to keep things like my health insurance intact. I think it's a great piece of legislation. In many ways, I think it's kind of the bare minimum. Like, companies should not be firing people when they're like, I need to take care of my dad because he has prostate cancer. But guess what? They do. I'll drink to that. So, FMLA, if you're having a difficult time, if you have a family member who is ill, look into FMLA. It could be a great opportunity for you. There's a little bit of legwork that you need to do, paperwork. You may need some medical professionals to provide you with documentation, but it's all very doable. You can do it. Okay. More chat asks. So Lexi, my grandfather's, no one wants to hear this, but I love a dog who has your name. My grandfather, who is 90, he has a little King Charles Cavalier Spaniel, who those of you who are on our Patreon have seen photos of. She's super cute. She's very deaf, so you have to like wave at her a lot to get her attention. My sign language minor comes in handy as I'm like trying to get her attention. But I love Lexi. She is the 5th dog to be added to our household. Guys, I don't know. Do you have animals? Just send me animals. Just send me the animals. I'll take care of them. It's fine. Lexi, who has a lovely name, independent of the fact that it is the same name as a dog that I love, says, other than the joyful meadow storybook ride, what's the most positive aspect of early retirement? Other than living day by day, any larger trips planned or other wish list items? So, yes, my partner and I had one of the things that we did during COVID, which I think probably a lot of people kind of did, since we couldn't travel and have vacations, we were like, let's plan fantasy travel time. So we planned out a trip to Puerto Rico, which is where his family is from Puerto Rico. Originally, he's kind of the generation where like his parents like didn't teach him Spanish, didn't like take him to Puerto Rico, didn't like connect him with his roots because it was very in vogue at that particular time to be like, no, you're an American, you only speak English and you have no connections to anything other than hot dogs and vanilla ice cream. And it's like, okay. So we're kind of actually trying to reconnect maybe with some of his roots that unfortunately culture has encouraged him to minimize. So we really want to do a trip to Puerto Rico. There's like a whole miniature island where everybody has a horse and the horses just run free. And they're like, whose horse is that? And they're like, that horse? Oh, that's Jason's horse. Don't worry about that. Like, that horse is owned. Like, you can't just hop on it. But that horse, nobody owns that horse. If you can get on, it's yours. I'm like, this is perfect for us. It's also an excellent island for finding turtles, which is my husband's favorite animal. So I'm like, this is so perfect. It's got your favorite animal. It's got my favorite animal. We're going to go out to the bioluminescent bays. We're going to see the turtles. I'm going to run around and try to hop on random fucking horses, break my whole fucking neck trying to hop on these horses. No, I won't really try to ride them, but I will photograph them aggressively and post them to Bitches Get Rich's official Instagram. So we do want to do that. We also have a trip to Montreal that's like all planned out. I've never actually been to Canada despite living in New England. So it's close by. I could easily get there and I just haven't done it. So unfortunately my partner has a hip impingement, which makes it difficult for him to walk comfortably for long periods of time. So he's going in for surgery in June, and we're gonna kind of like just take it step by step and see how he's feeling. He may recover very quickly. He may be on crutches for a long period of time, but basically we're gonna figure out what works and go by based on how he's feeling. In the meantime, like, we're really just trying to enjoy the feeling of not being extremely beholden to anyone. The best thing about his current job is that it has unlimited vacation time. For those of you who have unlimited vacation time jobs, this is getting more and more popular, so I think it's worth mentioning. So there's lots of research that backs up that people who have unlimited vacation time, they tend to use less of it than people who have regular vacation time. If you know you have 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 2 weeks that it's like use it or lose it, those people use it all. But people who have unlimited vacation time, they kind of just like don't. So we are actually going to try to be a good example for all of his coworkers and use that time to its full advantage. Maybe just not this year. Okay. I'm trying not to be extraordinarily disappointed that no one has asked me enough, what I would consider to be enough questions about 1990s anime. However, I will hit us up with a couple more questions / comments. So Taylor in the chat says, took mental health leave / FMLA last summer. Best decision ever. Moved states and switched careers after. Would never have done it if I hadn't had the break. Taylor, I'm really, really happy for you. That is exactly what this legislation was designed to do, and I'm really, really glad that you took advantage of it. And what I want you to know, Taylor, is that like you took this time for yourself and you describe it as being amazing. Know that there are other people that you worked with who had never heard of FMLA, who did not know that this was an option to them until they saw you taking that time off, and they were like, wait, that's a thing I can do? And it's like, yes, that's a thing you can do. So one of the most important things to me when you are working in even like a good or white collar job that has good benefits, you kind of have to be vocal about those benefits. It's amazing the number of things that people don't know they're allowed to do. Even things as simple as talking about their compensation. They don't know that it's legal for a job to tell them that they can't do that, so they don't talk about it. Guys, like, talk about your compensation. Talk about the benefits that you're using. You may inspire people in a similar situation to make use of those benefits and educate them about the fact that they have that right, which they otherwise may not know about. So, Taylor, thank you. And like, please, if your coworkers think that you just vanished for a little bit and then came back, like, tell them, tell the people, be a community. I love you all. But a couple other things. A Tumblr Anon said, regarding this week's article, loved your new article. Thank you. I'm so susceptible to comments. Comments, compliments. Ooh, the 13% is finally kicking in. A note about the EITC. It actually benefits single people over married people too. Earners who would qualify on their own. 15K would be over the ceiling and wouldn't qualify for 30K, losing their credit. Okay. This is on me. I need to do this research and then maybe issue a little correction. I should never talk about taxes. Just bar none. I should never talk about taxes. Piggy should never talk about taxes. No matter how much we think we know about personal finance, we are wrong like 50% of the time when we try to talk about something in the tax code, which is really depressing because we think we're really smart and we're really well educated, and we're not just posting random things. Like, we're reading all this stuff. We're trying to absorb it. And we still sometimes get things wrong because it's written so that only a fucking robot would understand it. And It's very depressing. I do think that it is written in an intentionally difficult way because there's an enormous cottage industry of companies like TurboTax who profit off of explaining to you how the tax code works. So we do our best, and whenever, thankfully, we have smarter readers who will correct us when we are incorrect. And like, please don't go to that new article until I've had a hot second to make sure that they are correct, that I am doing this incorrectly. But taxes are really, really, really difficult. It is really easy to get them wrong, and to misconstrue things based on your understanding of language that is like pretty stuffy legalese that's very difficult to understand for a layman. So one of the best things we've done as a company is hire an accountant to file our taxes for us. It fucking sucks. I am so like pro DIY when it comes to personal finance, but taxes are really fucking hard, and maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I think they're made difficult intentionally. So there we go. More from Tumblr. I'm not sure what your taste in music is like, but I really think Rise Against Nowhere Generation from the album of the same name might be up your alley as a fellow disgruntled millennial. Okay, well, I have not listened to this, but I will now. And I will say, I've been on this big 90s kick listening to lots of nostalgic things, and I was kind of blown away by the number of songs that mentioned things that I felt were so relevant today. I was listening to something earlier, and it had a line in the song about how easy it was for children to get guns and shoot each other. And I was like, this came out when I was a child, and I'm now an old fucking woman, and it's just out here, and nothing about it has changed. And I think that's really interesting. I need another one of these if I'm going to talk about this level of shit. Guys, the most interesting thing I think about when you are feeling really depressed about political things, like gun legislation, like the lack of action on climate change, I can't tell you how to process those things, but I can tell you something that was helpful to me. Something that I heard from someone who is a climate anxiety specialist, which I'm not going to explain because it's all there in the title. This person said the number one negative emotion that comes up for people around these topics is actually not fear of the thing. It's not people being afraid of climate change. It's not people being afraid of a lack of action on legislation around gun control, things like that. It's actually a sense of betrayal, a sense that they can't believe their legislators when their legislators are talking honestly to them, quote unquote. A fact that when people say, like, they stand up and they make speeches where they say never again, and then they don't make any meaningful action for it to in fact never be again. And there's no resolution to that information. I just personally found that to be helpful for me while processing my own emotions around difficult information, especially things that are happening in the news. If you feel that you're having a lot of big emotions about something or several things that are happening in the news, I think it's helpful to think about the fact that a big part, potentially the biggest part of those negative feelings are coming from a sense of betrayal from your elected officials, your parents, your teachers, your governors and whatnot. I'm voguing. It's fun. We're all voguing. It's okay. All right. We are, in fact, getting up on the hour. So I am going to pick one more question, but I will also say anyone who wants another question answered, like, please throw it out there. But I'm going to take a look at what we've got and try to pick a solid one. Okay. Ducky is telling me, okay. Ducky's telling me to answer this one, so I'm going for it. Okay. This is another anonymous question on Tumblr. Wait, it's not anonymous. I have a name. Bumblebee, which is spelled Bumblebee, but then the E is like 5 of them. Thank you, Bumblebee. Hi, I have a benefits question for you. I got my first big girl job in a city with decent public transportation. One of the benefits my company offers is a monthly pass subsidy. However, I don't use public transportation to get to work. The subsidy is big enough that if I take public transportation 2 times a month, it will pay for itself. Is it okay for me to use the subsidy even if it won't be for getting to work? My boyfriend says it's part of my compensation, but my parents don't think I should use it. Oh my gosh. I love this because I can just definitively say who's right. Okay. Your boyfriend's right. Your parents are wrong. So, when your company offers you something as a benefit, if they only want that benefit to be used in one very particular circumstance, guess what they can do? Make it essential for you to only use that in one particular circumstance. It is well within their power. For example, the company that I used to work for, who shall not be named, but let me take a big swig of water. Don't laugh. I'll laugh at you.
Oh no.
The company that I used to work for offered us reimbursements for personal fitness for up to, it was like $300 a year. And it was basically like, we have a gym on site that you can use, but if you don't happen to live in this one state where this gym is, we will reimburse you for keeping your body healthy and staying active in other ways. Great, awesome benefit, no complaints. However, they have a bunch of arbitrary clauses in there. And one of the arbitrary clauses is that you won't use it for certain kinds of physical fitness, one of them being horseback riding. I've had it with this decorative horse head. Don't you agree that this is horse girl discrimination?
Yes, yes, Kitty, I think it's very discriminatory, and everyone should go to hell who despises it.
You're right. They should go to hell. Thank you, decorative horse head that I got for $25 at World Market.
You're welcome. I love you so much. Give me big kiss.
Oh, no, I'm on camera. I can't do it.
No, come on, bitch. You owe me this. I sit on this radiator cover all day.
All right. I'm going to give a kiss. Okay. So, it's total bullshit that they were like, oh, these handful of things. If you want to go skiing, you can't get a ski pass. If you want to do golfing, you can't do golfing. If you want to do horseback riding, you can't do horseback riding. I don't know what the thinking was around that. I have a 6-pack from horseback riding that did not exist before I was horseback riding. So I literally have no idea. I guess they were just like, list some things that we're afraid rich people might do with this money. And it's like, oh, what if they send little Mitzi to golf lessons and try to claim that it's a personal fitness? I don't know. But I lied to them. I said it was for a personal trainer. Let me just take another swig of water. Thank you so much, company I used to work for. For the fitness benefits that arbitrarily discriminate against certain sports. Lie. Fuck your company. I think it's ridiculous that any company thinks that their employee kind of exists in a closed bubble where the only thing that they do is work. if you drive into work every day, you are incurring massive costs that technically I believe should fall to your employer to absorb. And they are probably scared that you might one day demand that they absorb that. So fuck them. Take that money, use it for whatever, like going in on the weekend to have a thirsty Sunday brunch with your gal pals. Guys, the theme of this should have been gal pals. I'm sorry. I was underselling gal pals as a potential theme for this whole thing. Yeah, fuck them. Use that money for whatever you want. The reality is they do not have the infrastructure to formally audit it all. And whether you are using that on the weekends for your own fun time, on occasion, or to commute in every single day, it doesn't matter. They have the money allotted either way. So use it however you like. I think a private company would never put the kind of mental effort into the ethical effort into thinking through, like, oh my god, so how was this devised, and how can I make the most use of it without technically being unethical? They're not thinking about that. They don't give a shit. They're gonna do whatever they need to do to make money, and you need to use that benefit. Otherwise, they are going to look at their numbers and see that people aren't using that benefit and think, oh, this benefit isn't valuable. So, fuck it. Fuck this horse girl discrimination. Live your own life. Love you. All the best, Bumblebee. Okay, I guess, should I stop? Is this a sign? Heaven, send me a sign that I should stop. I think this is a sign I should stop. But I do still have like this much beer left, so I'm just gonna chug it and answer one more question. Sorry, Ducky, if you want to go to bed, you can. You guys, Ducky, cover your ears. Are you covering your ears? I don't believe you. Okay, I think she's really doing it now. So, guys, we really want to give Ducky a raise in the coming year, and the easiest way to do that is if we have more Patreon donors, because that's very solid, predictable income. And so we can say, like, hey, your hourly rate, we're bumping it up by X%. So, like, please, if you enjoy this shit, become a Patreon donor. That's how we pay Ducky. And I guess ourselves, but who cares about us? Anyway, okay, she texted me a monkey hear no evil emoji, which I believe means she wants me to think she wasn't listening. We'll see. I don't trust her, but I will answer one more. Okay. This one seems fun. Hey, how do y'all have any tips for new adults to plan budgets on actual grown-up vacations? Everything I see is about how to stick to your budget or create room in a budget for trip money, but nothing on how to decide I'm going to X for Y days and I'm not spending more than Z. My current idea is to just look for airfare and then make that roughly 50%. I don't know what's reasonable. Okay. Here's how I would recommend planning vacations. So, I'm a big proponent of the whole philosophy that we don't know how much time we have. Maybe this is because, like, recently I've known a lot of young people who have passed away quite suddenly. I have. I've had a lot of personal contacts in their 20s and 30s who passed away very suddenly, and in their teens in the last couple of weeks. It's been tough. It's been a rough time. Life is not guaranteed. No one can tell you will for sure live to at least 60. So at least do some fun shit before 60. Or you'll get to at least 80. Like, you cannot know that. the fact is that there are people who seem to be healthy and in their teens or in their 20s or their 30s who pass away, and we don't get a say. There's no voting process. Really wish there was. So, life is very short, and I think that should be the guiding principle that you consider when you think about vacations. The point, I think, of travel and why people often talk about it in almost mystical terms is that it has a transformative ability to make you think in a whole new way about your life, about your culture, and that's so cool and so rare. Please, there's so few opportunities that people get in their life to totally recontextualize everything that they have learned about life up until that point. So, when you get the opportunity to travel, you take that to the hilt, like so. Oh, Bay State Brewing Company, you've done me dirty. Pursue life to its fullest. The purpose of money is entirely to exchange it for the kind of things that will give you the life that you think you want for yourself. If what you think you want is like, I want to go climb the heights of Machu Picchu, like, girl, bye, I want to go do that. Don't skimp and say like, well, I'm going to travel to a very affordable suburb outside the heights of Machu Picchu, and I will look at them from a distance like, no, go. None of us have any guarantee of how long we will be on this planet, of how long we will be in good health. Even people who appear to be in good health, like that, you know, in my partner's case, like, he's had a hip issue that has just shown up very suddenly and made it very difficult for him to walk for long distances, and that's really limited our travel options. So life is so potentially rich and potentially so long. Don't give yourself reason to think, if I were a rich person, I would come back and do this vacation this way. If your only reason for pursuing a vacation is to like live a sort of like, I don't know, like a five-star experience, like I guess I don't care. But I think most of our readers and listeners are people who are like, I just want to see this, I just want to experience this, and like, I want that for you. So there are a few things that I'm going to tell people, like, yeah, go into debt for this. And I think if there is somewhere that this anonymous Tumblr user wants to go, something that they want to see, something that they want to do, go do it. There is a very real chance, and I'm not playing, there's a very real chance that you will never get an opportunity to go to this foreign country ever again, to go to another continent ever again. So leave everything on the dance floor. Like, don't die with your music still inside yourself. If there's something you want to do and you have to put it on a credit card, fucking put it on a credit card. Like, life is so short and it is so precious. And I want you to see the things you want to see and do the things you want to do. And I truly think that's something you will never regret. I've asked a lot of people about their financial regrets. And I have never, ever had someone tell me they really regretted the money that they spent traveling to see countries and sites and places that they wanted to see. So there you go. That, I think, is something worth going into debt over. That's something worth waiting for. That's something worth saving toward. It's an incredible experience, and I hope that everyone gets to experience everything that they feel they need to see in this lifetime. So, anonymous Tumblr user, make your dream itinerary and find a way to pay for it, even if it's suboptimal, like borrowing money or putting things onto your credit card, see what you need to see and do what you need to do, because we could all be hit by a bus tomorrow. I know personally I will be hit by a bus tomorrow. So there you go. Such a dramatic. Guys, Vegeta is one of the best characters in Western literature overall, and he's not even from Western literature. I will be writing someday the dream article that I didn't get around to when I was in undergrad, which is Dragon Ball Z as literature of the Black diaspora. Please, if you would like me to write this, become a Patreon donor. I'll do it. I'll fucking do it. That's my dream. Other things that are important, Inuyasha is way too long. Rumiko Takahashi, I fucking girl, I love you. Ranma 1/2, informative to my experience as an adult person. However, you're canceled because your shit goes on for way too fucking long. You waste my fucking time. Goodbye with that shit. That filler, oh, it's more filler than human. No, absolutely not. And people who are trying to get me into, what's the thing that everybody's trying to get us into?
Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer. Guys, I watched a couple of episodes of Demon Slayer and I was like, interesting. So this is every other anime I've ever seen. And people are like, you gotta get past the training montages. And I'm like, no. If you can't make the training montages interesting, don't put training montages in your anime. I'm really upset about it. Most underrated anime, Princess Tutu. Shh, don't tell anyone this. The greatest anime of the 2000s is called Princess Tutu, and I know it's called Princess Tutu. Don't think that I'm not aware of how that sounds. However, shit slaps. There's no violence. They solve all their problems by doing ballet at each other. It's great. They play excellent. They're like, oh, you want some fucking Tchaikovsky? Like, oh, and let's do like some Shostakovich in the background. Who cares? It's fucking great. It's just about a girl solving all the world's problems by dancing ballet and being a magical girl, which is like the whole vibe. I love you all. And I'm disappointed in you all for not asking me more anime questions. So ask me more anime questions next time. We'll do another one of these. Anyway, I love you. I think you're all very cool. Best takeaways from early retirement? Shit slaps. You know what early retirement is like? You know when you get a bunch of plastic bags from the grocery store and you're gripping them in your hands and you're walking up a hill. Like, this is something I think everyone can empathize with, even if they haven't exactly done it themselves. Holding like 8 bags in their hands to be like, haha, I will be a one trip kind of hoe, and walking up a hill. And it's so difficult. And you're like, oh, this sucks, and the plastic bags are trying to cut into my hands, and this is the worst, and I hate it. Okay, so that's like working. And when you retire, especially if you retire early, like me, it's like set bags down in your front porch. Like, done. We're done here. And people have been asking me, what's it like? And it's exactly like that. It's like, oh, I remember how difficult it was to live every day. But then setting those burdens down felt so natural that I've never thought about it since. I don't have a self-concept of, oh, I'm the kind of person who's always carrying 19 grocery bags in one go. That's not anyone's self-concept, yet that is, I think, how many of us end up living our lives. So if you retire early, it feels a lot like finally setting down a bunch of horrible fucking grocery bags and just walking away. The feeling of the necessity of doing that fades surprisingly quickly, and hopefully with luck, you will find ways to reconnect with the part of yourself that lived a life dedicated to anything other than carrying groceries. That's all. I love you guys. Thank you for joining us for this AMA. I felt very self-conscious seeing how shiny my face looks with my brand new ring light. Guys, it's so hard being an influencer, let me tell you. However, I've been so much appreciated all of the comments that I've gotten from you guys. I'm thrilled that there were actually people who are watching and having a good time, and I love you all. Piggy loves you all. We really appreciate you joining us for these live AMAs. If you want us to do more, shoot us some DMs. Tell us that you enjoyed these, and we will do more of them. Maybe we'll do one together. I think the lag could make for a lot of interesting arguments where we're fighting constantly with the version of ourselves that existed 1 minute before. So that sounds like a lot of fun. But thank you all so much for joining us. Please, if you like this, let us know. Send us a DM. Make a comment. Share this video. Join our Patreon. It's how we pay our good girl Ducky. And thank you all. We really appreciate you. We love you. And stay sexy and don't get murdered. They can't see that. Don't laugh. What do I say to people who I need to sign up on our blog?
Oh shit.
Something about guillotining billionaires, probably.
Yeah.
Stay sexy and guillotine billionaires. Love you all. Bye.